Everybody's been talking about it for months, but the mayor's race is not over yet in Denver. The general election votes are still being counted. Now, as predicted, it's headed for a runoff where the top two vote getters will get to do it all over again, just in a less crowded environment. The runoff, that'll be settled on June 6th. That is still some 9 weeks away. As it stands on your screen, you can see that Mike Johnston and Kelly Brough are 1-2, but votes are continuing to come in, so things could change. There are still ballots that are going to be released. We'll get some numbers coming up at the top of the hour. Joining us now to talk about the runoff, what we can expect as far as finishing off the general election, is our friend Alton Dillard, back with us. Of course, he was with the Denver Clerk and Recorder's Office for 17 years until retiring last December. So let's talk about where we stand before 5 o'clock. Are these numbers something that Lisa Calderon, sitting in third place, could still overcome with votes that are outstanding? Usually
the trend that I've seen over the years is that margins have a tendency to spread as the more ballots that get reported. So I think that one's pretty much over but the shouting, but that's one of the reasons that we always tell people you wait until all the votes are counted. You wait through the 8-day post-election window for cures and military and overseas, and you wait until the election is certified.
And when this 5 o'clock vote comes out, how far is that going to take us to the finish line? Is that essentially going to tell us where we're at?
It should give you a pretty good idea. The Denver Elections Division made a good dent in it this afternoon, it appears. And so what's going to happen now is you'll either see a 5 o'clock report. If they're getting close to being finalized, there's a chance they may put out on Twitter that, hey, we're close to being done, so we'll tune in, look for us in 30, 40 minutes. Or if not, at that 5 o'clock report, they will let you know when they expect final and official.
So you've seen all this play out before, from when it was a wide open field that Michael Hancock emerged from to when he ran for re-election a couple of times. What do we expect now? Because turnout, most people were disappointed with the numbers as far as total turnout for this race, and people thought it was a confusing race. There were 16 candidates, 17 candidates, depending on your math. Now there are going to be 2. Do you expect that to narrow the focus and get people out to the box?
It really should, because that's a lot of people to sort through, and that's one of the reasons we talk about needing to revisit Denver's signatures thresholds. Having 300 signatures on a petition to run for citywide office in a city of this size really does not make a lot of sense.
Too low a bar.
It's too low a bar. So if we get down to 2 candidates, and again, this is not a partisan race, so we're talking about essentially a sort of center-right Democrat and a center-left Democrat. So it's going to be interesting to see if they have to maybe potentially go negative to try and create some kind of separation, because for the most part, and I think this also factors into your question, Tom, a lot of the candidates were fairly in agreement on most of the issues. So I think we're going to see a little bit better turnout, and especially people need to keep an eye out also as these vote totals come out on city council at large.
And great point, because center left, center right, but still ideological. They feel the same. They voted yes on a lot of the same things. They voted no on other things. I wonder when it comes down to it, because they are so similar. Is this going to bring out some voters who just want to vote for a woman for the first time because Denver has never had a woman mayor?
That's a potential too, because one of the things in the initial narrative for this election was, hey, Denver's really looking to be able to get the first woman mayor in Denver history. There are some very qualified women who are in that field, and so it is still a possibility, but I'm also starting to see some chatter on social media where the identity politics are starting to come into play about, well, what kind of woman or what shade of woman, etc. And the fact that it is, an Anglo male and an Anglo woman has some people chattering, but, I also know that there are community leaders in all communities of color that are in both camps of the 2 current frontrunners.
You've watched the system run. You've helped the system run many times through all these elections. How did it run, or is it running, as we continue to count? And what changes now as far as the system as we head now into a runoff, it looks like?
Well, really it's not going to be a huge change, except for the fact that there will be fewer mayoral candidates, and then the runoffs in districts 8 through 10. I'm sorry, 7 through 10 are going to be going to runoff. So because I don't think in the remaining outstanding ballots that it's going to move any of those numbers. So it'll be the same thing. You'll start seeing your ballots about 3 weeks before the election, and just like we've always warned over the years, the folks at Denver Elections will be telling folks to get their ballots back and not to sit on them until the last second. Anytime the voters wait till the last second, they have to understand they're trading convenience for this accurate, secure model.
Do you think instead of having 17 and having people having to sort through a lot to make a choice, that in this case people will vote earlier, that it's going to be A, B, as far as the mayoral?
Yeah, that's a possibility. The other thing you have to watch out for is what we used to call in the old days the October surprise. So if you have something on your opponent, the mail ballot thing changes the dynamic. Before, you drop it on the Sunday before the Tuesday of an election, but now that people have their ballots 3 weeks ahead of the election, that sort of changes that dynamic. So if someone's going to, drop something on somebody, they would have to drop it earlier. So hopefully, again, since Colorado and Denver have the most convenient, most secure voting system in the country, hopefully people participate. If you're sitting out elections, especially local elections, you're playing checkers instead of chess.
Yep. There's so many people who are like, I'm not even going to vote this time around. I don't know who these 16 people are. But now letting other voters decide for them who the runoff is going to be June 6th, we expect much bigger turnout, right?
Yes, especially, since we're looking at what I like to again call the seismic shift. We are talking about the first new administration in 12 years. And this is going to be an administration that, however that shakes out and however the new city councils shake out, is going to really take Denver into its future.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that, of course. We have 9 weeks of commercials. We got plenty of time.
Mail, the whole nine.
But we may know who, in fact, is 1-2 officially. We'll be finding out. We are expecting new numbers in the next 20-25 minutes at the top of the hour. Alton, it's always good to see you.
Likewise.
Thanks again for helping us again.